You're looking at both of them, both having a little bit of a different journey getting to this point. FaZe, they fell pretty early on, and then Optic Gaming, they fall short here with the potential of a reverse sweep kind of on their horizon, but unfortunately they fall short when it mattered most. Are they going to be able to capitalize on Optic's heads maybe being a little bit low right now, or do you think Optic's fact that they have the momentum, the fire on their side, they're feeling very warm after that series?
Both these teams have that unshakable mental state. They know how to play when they're down 0-2 and to bring in a reverse sweep. You know that they're shaking off that last series, so I think they're both they're such veterans that they're going to know how to bounce back from a quick loss like that.
Well, Optic fans, you're in FaZe territory right now, so you're going to have to get loud for your team. Let's meet the Optic Gaming roster. And there you go, we have the Optic Gaming roster, but going up against them, we do have FaZe Clan, and here is a little head-to-head of these two duos. This is an incredible team here. SnakeBite and Royal2 always putting up the goods. This right now is the entire season King of the Hill stats, which is quite a random one to have a little look at, to be honest, but both looking very handsome here in terms of the numbers.
Both great numbers and two of the best to ever do it. And I said earlier, when FaZe lost to Pure, it was a very quiet series from Royal2, a guy that I think is probably the most positive player in the history of Halo. You cannot go quietly in the night and leave a tournament hosted by your organization into a top 6 placing. I'm expecting Royal2 to have moments in this series that will dictate FaZe's chances to move on.
Both of those two are looking very good in King of the Hill, as we can see, and of course it is going to be our map 1 of this series. And Walshy, you need a big kind of moment, I think, for FaZe right now to wake things up. You know what they like when they get cold? They start complaining, moaning, it happens, you know. But Optic, they're also probably moaning right now the fact that they managed to kind of drop down to the elimination bracket already on Saturday.
Yeah, I think both these teams were planning to play different game types against each other in a different round. They're finding themselves earlier in the elimination bracket here in the quarterfinals, going against each other and kicking off with King of the Hill on live fire.
You have that Thorn map 3, Interference Strongholds. Both teams have vocalized their frustration with this map and mode combination. The fact that it sits dead middle in the series means you will have to play it. You will have to decide who's going to win that one. That could be a very pivotal game because it can snowball quickly and beatdowns happen very often on Interference. So I cannot wait until we get to that map 3 because no matter what the score is going into it, it can dictate the rest of the series by changing the tides and momentum.
I also believe we did just see a live fire Slayer, which is game 5 of this series, Optic versus Rebellion there as well. And that one wasn't so great for Optic, but they have a second chance to play that. So are you looking kind of weighing in on Optic, having cleaned up a few things, maybe talked about that potential game 5, because they know this could go the distance with FaZe?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime I see a FaZe and Optic matchup, I believe it's going to go to a game 5. When we talk about live fire, Optic being one of the best live fire teams that we've had in our league for so long, but when we talk about game 5s, we talk about FaZe, we talk about that ice. It's going to be absolutely exciting. I'm almost guaranteeing it's going to that live fire Slayer.
It certainly is indeed, but we'll have to find out how this journey goes because often you can catch teams off guard, and sometimes we've seen between these two quick 3-0s. I've seen Optic 3-0 FaZe many a time, and vice versa. I mean, look at the World Championships. You think about moments like that are so big, and we put so much weight on a series like this, but often it really does depend on a layout and how they're feeling about their map depth, and it's everything to these players. And you're looking right now at Kings of King of the Hill, and things are fairly even. I know FaZe looking first here, 11-1, and they're looking great in King of the Hill, but honestly, second and 10-3 is also pretty damn good too.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me to see some very strong numbers on both sides. These two are probably the two first and second place teams at just about every map and mode. I mean, SSG slides in there somewhere, you know they do, but none of those three are falling out of the top 3, at least until Shopify starts to interrupt that a little bit more. But both know how to play the game at such a high level. And although these series don't go the distance to game 5s very often, it is just about every single game is decided by 1 or 2 kills. one hill, play towards time. One play could decide everything for these two teams left in this tournament.
Crazy that we see the first two objectives of this series be King of the Hill and Stronghold, which so far FaZe in Atlanta undefeated on both of those game types. So you mentioned that Stronghold's interference. That is a big deal coming down in that game number 3. You mentioned that King of the Hill being game number 1. That is so important to set the tone in the series. This is going to be huge for FaZe.
It certainly will indeed, and Walshy, as we're heading into that map flyover, I can only think of one thing, and that this is about to be a brawl, especially starting on King of the Hill.
Yeah, we are going to see the battle of the superstars. These teams and players are training for each other when they meet up, whether it's the winners finals, whether it's the grand finals. They are meeting up in the elimination semifinals. Here we go, Wes.
It's Formal versus Royal 2. It is Renegade versus Lucid. It is Saturday night, Atlanta. And we have the El Clasico to decide who moves on to Championship Sunday. Kicking it off with the demon himself, it's Renegade.
Renegade instantly going towards back green. If he wasn't a tough kill enough already, he's gonna be more difficult now. He's got that quantum translocator, but somehow Deadzone taking out his old teammate Renegade with a nice shot.
A big kill to get that player out of the hill. Deadzone finding a second kill, 4 down for FaZe. FaZe off to play towards the green side, but they do not account for Deadzone getting the snipe and immediately hitting the bridge route. In the meantime, Formal has been able to pick up camo. It does get burned, but Deadzone's still gonna be a problem with this snipe. Optic are in the hill and continuing to get.
Oh, that one was personal. You notice how Deadzone just knows where these routes are coming from. He sees a player over near Silo, knows someone's eventually gonna go Cutsway, also knows it's too good to be true. He needs to stop that push towards Bomb Center, but we are gonna be exiting here shortly. I see one player is missing from the map, so we're gonna bring it back out and pause it for just a moment. But oh my gosh, those 3 in a row on Renegade.
Hey, Deadzone.
We found the counter to Renegade. It's his old teammate.
I did want to make a point. As Deadzone was picking up those kills, FaZe won the battle towards the hill. Maybe it looks like it was a member of FaZe that lagged out, so it was probably a good thing for Optic. FaZe were going to be in the hill and not probably going to give Deadzone the same opportunity to remove that hill player. FaZe were going to take an early lead right there, so they had to be a little frustrated. They got camo burned, they took back hill control. They were going to get early progression. The reset will happen, ladies and gentlemen. Give us a second to get the lobby back into the match. But right there, you could already see high flying action. I love how FaZe started that game off, but you have to account for that sniper hitting that top mid route so often. If you're not sending players there, Optic will take an advantage, and Deadzone removing that hill player immediately was a massive kill that FaZe kind of messed up because they should have an early lead there. As camouflage is coming up, unfortunately though, members of FaZe were able to burn that camo the first time around. Erase that from your memory. We're starting back from scratch here, ladies and gentlemen. Game 1 of our Optic FaZe Elimination Bracket Series starts now. Live Fire King of the Hills, the name of the game. And let's see if FaZe start off the same way, hitting green. And let's see if Deadzone goes right back for that snipe. And if he can have the same level of success he was finding, because you can tell when he heats up, he's a problem. Deadzone hitting the top mid route right now. He's actually gonna double back and try and deny some space over at green. A bit of a different switch up here. FaZe, they do the same strategy. You can tell 2 of them are back green, but Optic have got the snipe in hands. It's gonna be Formal, and this kid is nasty with this weapon. A historic sniper in Halo, and one of the best to ever do it in FPS esports right now. Can't get an angle on the hill carrier though, David, and that's a crucial piece of information as FaZe get a significant lead here.
And Formal's putting a lot of pressure onto this power up and power weapon. They forfeited the half of this very first hill to get these couple kills. Now, in order for that to really pay off, they need to clear out these last members of FaZe and then get at least 50% of this hill back. Otherwise, you gotta argue and say it was the incorrect play.
Yeah, you almost need a perfect hold here from Optic on point 1. But Formal and the boys have a perfect hill break. Yes, 70, 80% is in FaZe's favor right now, but Formal and Optic have the favorable position. They are in the hill right now. Give Formal a chance, and he will rip ahead. But look at this jiggling. Such a frustrating moment for Formal as that head so narrowly escapes his reticle. several times. Now FaZe break open. The kill's going in their favor. Formal does get taken down, and a big kill from World 2. As Lucid steps into the hill, he gets knocked to no shield. He's got a teammate with him, but both of those players are going to be weak. These grenades are coming through, and here comes FaZe.
And look at this, the final stand there, both sitting at the bottom of Green Hill. Lucid takes a swim, but he does not mind. They get that first hill in a close fashion there against SnakeBite and FaZe Clan.
Optic hold it perfectly. I said that's what they needed, and that's what they delivered for the fans here in Atlanta and those online. Frosty now. You let that one slip away. FaZe have a perfect rotation towards P2 now. Down 1-0, early progression in their favor, but they have a lot of work to do. 2 go down for Optic, so FaZe should have a numbers advantage, but as I say that, the 2 for Optic find 3 in the kill feed, and it's SnakeBite, last player alive, running with his tail between his legs, bottom middle, because he knows he will not win in this disfavorable position.
But what a smart play there by SnakeBite. Some other lesser players might just sit at top tower, eventually get picked off and stagger those spawns. SnakeBite realizes he has a route out of there, runs over to regather with his teammates, recoup, and start a brand new push.
The mature play from SnakeBite. Let's see if it pays off. 2 go down for Optic. A flank to the tower is traded out. A good stick. You'll take that when you get caught off guard. But still, that tower position, such a powerful anchor position for Optic. And because it's no longer here, now Renegade able to get in the face of the player in the hill. Optic starting to lose control of the tower. FaZe are right back top tower. And Renegade, his responsibility here is huge to stay alive. He's going to try and drop back, find a kill. Another player flying at him. It's TriPPPeY. Renegade tries to do it with a nade. I'll do it with the shot instead. It's a killing spree for Renegade as he gets a double kill. FaZe get 3 down. Last player alive spotted bottom middle, and FaZe will start progression once again.
You don't want to see this guy warming up or heating up if you're an Optic fan. Renegade on that 6-kill spree, taken out by a spike grenade from Lucid.
Deadzone has found himself the snipe. Unfortunately, Deadzone's across the map from the hill looking for a pick, and FaZe nowhere to be found. Right now, Optic pushing towards this green side. There is a player for FaZe back green. Deadzone's gonna pull out the bandit, try and hunt him down. Does just that, but in the meantime, look at all this hill progression for FaZe. They are surely about to tie this game up in just a few moments. Deadzone trying to get an angle with the repulse. It's cute, but it's not good enough. He can't hit the shot. The second one, though, that was pretty Deadzone as he ends up trading the hill, not yet capped, as Optic narrowly get feet. Inches separate this game from being tied.
Can they do it again? On the green hill, they stopped FaZe as they got to about the 75% mark, and then they were able to close out that first hill. Can they do a last stand one more time here on the second hill in King of the Hill? That would be devastating here for FaZe.
That would deflate FaZe. 2 points in a row. Optic about to clutch, and Lucid with that pick on Frosty in the big door is huge. It denies FaZe's realistic push. Renegade gets removed from the map as well. Tommy Wilson heating up with the snipe, and Optic hit the point.
That is devastating. I originally thought that we were going to see Deadzone potentially just give up that free snipe out of desperation to try to stop the hill. It seems like making that correct play, pushing towards Nest, killing Royal 2, was everything that Optic needed to get momentum in their favor. Killing spree, making a double kill for MVP Lucid.
You asked where Lucid was. Well, Lucid's here now, and he will not be denied. 12, 3, and 5. Formal at 10 and 5. The superstars for Optic are here to play on Saturday night.
Superstars for Optic are here. What about FaZe? We saw some life out of Renegade. We saw some incredible plays, but the scoreboard is not really reflecting that right now. We're seeing some lackluster amounts of kills. When it comes out of SnakeBite and Frosty, there's just too much pressure coming out of the Optic side.
It's a perfect third hill for Optic. The momentum of the 2 close hills, 1 and 2, are rolling in Optic's favor. Camo is up, 3 minutes still on the clock, but that time will become a factor for FaZe's win condition here. Optic feels so comfortable that you're even getting Camo in the hands of TriPPPeY. Somehow he gets out of there, for God's sake. Everything going right for the green wall.
Now we got to see TriPPPeY make some plays. I saw him tweet before, talk about how disappointed he was about how he played in the finals of London. He said this one was on him. Now, if he wants to bring some life back into him and his team, he needs to have a great performance here to bring his team to Sunday.
Up 3-0, 3 minutes on the clock, and Optic do not plan on playing time today. The Camo player is in the hill, for God's sake. World 2 and SnakeBite will find 2 kills. TriPPPeY's gonna find a trade, and a great trade from him as well. But Optic are gonna fall short of ending this game perfectly at this point. Renegade jumps in the hill with the snipe right now. You know that's not where he wants to be, so he's gonna relocate top tower. Does he know players are already here? He can't hit the no-scope on the first player jumping top tower. The repulse to deny him from closing the gap is perfect. He gets a splatter with the repulse right there. A player's playing his life so well on the dice, and Renegade starting to heat up, finds himself a double, but FaZe have nearly got to play perfect if they want to come back in this game, and Renegade is capable of perfect. Finds a quick scope for the double, and now FaZe should be moments away from capping this hill. As I say that though, the last player alive for Optic, TriPPPeY, finding a massive kill to get Renegade taken down.
That's exactly what TriPPPeY needs to do in scenarios like that. Just doing, like you said, squeezing every little ounce of value out of each light. That's what they're doing at these highest levels. It's not just a binary kill or death. It is, did you get that little bit extra damage? Did you take 2 extra seconds of attention away from your opponent that allowed your spawner to move more freely across the map? It's just those tiny little inches and advantages that these players are gaining for each other.
And with how much work we saw Renegade do with that short span, it is still a hill in Optic Gaming's favor. Deadzone gonna try and relocate front tower right now, but he is getting shot in the back, trying to play his life. At this point, you are not concerned with overextending to try and finish this game immediately. FaZe still against the clock. 2 minutes on the clock and starting to dwindle down. It's 2:05. And that will continue to get shorter and shorter as this game goes on. One player off the map, is that a repulse off the map? No, that player stays on, but Deadzone still trying to be a nuisance. Multiple members of Optic are getting taken down. This point surely goes into FaZe's favor, but Optic erase a minute off the clock in that point, and if they're able to do that 2 more times, they will win this game.
Now you gotta wonder, how does Optic decide to play this? Do they go for the dagger and try to finish it off, or do they try to delete a minute or so from each of these next 2 hills? That's a scary spot to put FaZe in, to try to put them in a do-or-die situation, because we know how clutch they are. So we look at Optic, and their decision is try to close out while you can. They got about 20% of this hill thus far, and they're going to try to scrap up little by little as they get advantages.
Yeah, these kills are massive. Formal staying alive near this hill just creates so much opportunity for Optic. Look at the damage that this kid can do. Several players getting knocked to no shield, and although Formal finally gets taken down, it is once again several seconds coming off the clock, and over almost half the way on the progressed point to get Optic the lead here in this series. 3-1 still to score, 1 minute and 42 on the clock. Deadzone having to back up and wait for respawners before trying to retaliate into this hill, but right now, FaZe have got to lock this down and not let this clock get any lower.
Now this one is going to be such a swing. Obviously, if Optic are able to get it, they close out the game. However, FaZe are able to get this. They're able to get their second hill and still have plenty of time on the clock to get that tying hill. We're gonna have to see how Optic decide to play this, because they've already committed to trying to capture this one. It's almost too late to play time on this 5th hill.
Formal gets knocked to no shield, but TriPPPeY gets a trade onto SnakeBite. Lucid gets out of dodge with the snipe. He's gonna relocate top middle. The repulse being such an efficient use to relocate on this map, to take a route to impact this combat loop. He gets back into the hill, can't quite hit the no-scope, but damage has been done. FaZe are coming off respawn right now. They get 2 kills on the Optic, and Lucid being hunted down. It's Renegade to take that snipe out of his hand, and now FaZe in this hill, 1 minute and 30 on the clock, have an opportunity to make this a 1-cap game. The hill will go back to P1 here, as it's just a 1-hill game. Optic are on a little bit of a staggered respawn. They're trying to create some space. They may have to deal with Renegade, and Renegade is dealing with them instead. 4 down for Optic. FaZe will get in the hill, freeze the time, and this is a huge moment for FaZe to tie this game up.
Optic were trying just to push out green. They had the control of the hillside, and they decided they wanted to be the aggressors. Put some pressure on to garage side, see if they can get some control of camo, and it comes back to bite them. They get 0 time in that hill. FaZe have sniper, FaZe have camo, FaZe have half of the hill done.
That jump is not easy to do under the pressure. Royal 2 able to get back into the combat loop, take 1 down, get an assist on the next. 4 down for Optic, FaZe back in the hill. It's already past 70% progression at this point, and FaZe may just play a perfect hill here back on the rotation to tie this game up.
I mean, if I'm Optic here, I think you're playing for hill number 7 at this point. You got to get that tower control, but it looks like they have a different idea in mind.
Oh!
SnakeBite wins the fight. That's going to be 3 down for Optic. And Optic trying desperately to stop the Green Hill, but it's not going to be enough. It's going to be ourselves a tie game. And looks like Optic do have control of tower somehow still.
It was once 3-0. It's all of a sudden 3-3. FaZe not going quietly here in game 1. Optic set up for the 7th point, but here comes the FaZe clan. Renegade back tower, double kill for him, 3 down for Optic. Last player alive training, and Renegade's gonna jump in the hill and get early progression in this last final hill for FaZe.
Renegade just putting up some massive numbers so far, 25, 8, and 16 when his team needs him the most. He started off strong and he's finishing strong right now.
It's all tied up, but the progression in FaZe's favor. Here comes Optic. Rule 2 goes down. Optic have numbers. TriPPPeY will be taken down as well. These numbers now even 3-3. Another killing spree for the Demon. Multiple players from Optic in his face. He's dealing with all of them! And Renegade somehow does the impossible to give FaZe control back.
It feels like every single time Optic focus on Renegade, send members to him, they're just sending them stats and free kills.
Optic have to push. This could be the last one. They deal with Renegade. Deadzone finds the opening pick. Here comes Deadzone top tower. Gotta flush out these players. It's so difficult at times, but Optic have finally broken the setup. 60% progression for FaZe, but Optic now in control.
No rush in grabbing this hill. It's just about getting the kills and getting control. So Optic prioritizing those kills at Nest. They have control. They have 2 down. Now we're going to have to see if this play from Deadzone pays off. These are one of those hit or miss plays. If somebody goes on by and he's able to get that free damage, great play by Deadzone. But if he leaves his teammates out to dry, this could be disastrous.
FaZe are playing this one slow. This will be their last push if they decide to go this slow. Lucid trying to find an opening. He spots a couple of players. He's picking them out to his team, but Lucid wants to get involved. He spots Frosty bottom pillars. A pick on the Frosty. Renegade the last player alive, and there's 3 members of the green wall to go through. Renegade gets spotted, taking a no shield. Lucid able to stay alive, and because FaZe tried to push slowly on that break, it did not work, and now FaZe are desperate. Here they come top middle, but they can't get there in time. And Optic Gaming show a little bit of ice there at the end to finish game 1 in their favor.
We also saw a bit of thawing there throughout the middle part of that game. Ooh. But ice up at the end is all that matters as they're able to close out that 7th and final hill.
Oh,
kudos to Optic to bring that one back. There's some points when a team gets 3 hills in a row on you and they got camo and sniper and everything's going right for them, it's tough to reel those back. But we're talking about 2 of the best teams in the world here.
Unbelievable game 1, and if that's what we have in store for this series, buckle in, because this is going to be a roller coaster, ladies and gentlemen. A 3-0 lead for Optic. 3 straight hills go in FaZe's favor. FaZe doing incredible things on that P7, that last point, but somehow Optic break it once. And again, a perfect hold from Optic, similar to some of the first 3 hills to end that game in their favor. You thought it was going to be FaZe's when Renegade's just somehow alive after multiple members. Optic sends everyone at him, and somehow it's Renegade standing in the smoke as it disappears. Jesus Christ. As we take a look at the highlights from game 1, Dave, I want to talk about the end there and what you were able to see from Optic when they finally were able to take down Renegade and how they perfectly held that last hill.
I mean, I felt like the very ending push was more of Optic just playing that so right on the correct side. FaZe, they opted to overload the Nest side of the map. At that point, they already had a camo Lucid there. They had Deadzone hiding behind the box. They had a tower that could help, and they had the right amount of firepower to match that side of the map. It was just kind of a coin flip at that point. If FaZe had overloaded over towards cut side of the map, Deadzone wouldn't have been in that play at all, and they could have had numbers against, you know, essentially a 3-on-2 or a 4-on-2 because Lucid and Deadzone wouldn't have been there. So they planned their players in the right spot at the right time.
It was honestly an unbelievable camo play from Lucid. Maybe not flashy, but the information he was getting as far as there are multiple members of FaZe.
That moment you're talking about Renegade where there's so many battles down in that dummy door and Renegade the only one surviving.
I have no idea still. I'm going to have to rewatch it several times. His shield was not moving, but everyone on Optic was flying at him. Grenades are exploding everywhere, and I have no idea how, as the smoke dissipates from the grenades, he's literally the last man standing, and he was the only one for FaZe down in that situation. An incredible life, but not enough. Optic will take game 1 4-3. I said it as the series started. These games are always decided by 1 point, 1 play, 1 life all the time. Aquarius Slayer up next, and this is a game type that we have seen FaZe struggle in today against Pure. What are you looking for the reigning champs in FaZe to do to rebound after that heartbreaking game 1?
Oh my gosh, I mean, the odd part about that game 1 is FaZe, they essentially had the first 2 hills, barely lost them. If they got either of those during their epic comeback time throughout that 3-hill streak, they would have easily won that game. So I don't feel like they have to change much. It feels like they just have to start to ice out a couple of these earlier hills and earlier leads. It does feel like they are dying, they're living as a team and dying as a team. And when I started to notice times where someone like SnakeBite rolling away and regroup with his teammates, that's the moments you're seeing FaZe not just give full map control to someone like Optic, who know exactly what to do, position across the map, and get all the information they need.
It is so crucial to make sure you do not go forward down, to always have some level of presence on the map. Right now, the presence on the map is owned by TriPPPeY with the overshield. Optic win the opening break, and TriPPPeY with overshield thrust looks to push the advantage.
Oh my gosh, a clean 4-0 OS start there for Optic Gaming. Now they're gonna be trying to find out where the spawners are. They found one in the util, but I assume spawn's gotta be a little wacky after that trade.
Yeah, it's a split spawn situation, and how quickly can Optic find out this information? TriPPPeY with this overshield starting to dwindle. Won't have much of it for this next combat loop, but you do have map control and a lead to play around. Multiple members of FaZe are now going to be spotted. Yellow bridge right now as TriPPPeY tries to make his way across top middle. He gets team shot from several different angles. A bit of a risk from TriPPPeY there will not pay off, and it will give FaZe some room to breathe.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of a forced play there by TriPPPeY, and FaZe just kind of taking advantage of that mistake and that overstep. Now, what do FaZe decide to do with this new position and this new lead? We will find out, because it felt like Optic had to work so hard to get that 4-0. And it felt like FaZe didn't really have to do too much to close that gap here. It's now just a 1-kill game.
6-5, the game slows down to a snail's pace. The moment that this series means to these teams, a championship Sunday ticket on the cards for the winner, and FaZe being down 1-0 cannot afford to let this early game slip out of their hands. So although Optic want to slow this down and FaZe have map control, they are going to try to dissect this Optic setup. Unfortunately, they lose World 2 first, so Renegade's going to have to back up with this heat wave right now. Optic doing a phenomenal job of holding it down as they find a kill on the Frosty as well. Kills being traded, but here comes Renegade. Thrust, heat wave, Thrust is out right now, but it's allowed Renegade to find a push. A beautiful trade from Formal in a situation where, in all honesty, Renegade should have got that kill and continued to live. Will release some of the pressure from Optic Gaming.
Renegade says the best way for him to live is to just charge right into the eye of the storm. Gets right behind enemy lines over at Optic's base. Now, I don't know exactly how he picks out some of those snares, but I think I know a way we could find out. Let's actually go to a FaZe listen-in and hear how they're gonna come back in this game number 2.
Yo, we can spawn him up there. We're not fucking pushing. I'm blocking blue flag. Pick up everything else. I'm looking at it. Yo, spawning left side. Spawning left side.
Yeah, my cross map. Don't look around.
Yo, pistol jump to kill us.
Alright, I'm talking to
No,
Deadzone. Kill stream, deal there.
Yo, PJ, they're pushing UP. Pushing UP. Yo, 2 hits in your legend. Yo, let me. 2 there.
No, one shot yellow vent.
Yellow vent half. One shot above you, PJ. One shot above you. One shot above you.
One in car one, I might be dead here, bro.
Yo, one shot again, PJ.
I'll go judge. Yellow cloud's nice.
Blue. And then yellow. Yeah, he weighs down my body.
I'm here, I'm coming in the car. Yeah, that's fine, man, that's fine. Yo, John's one shot. John, you're on.
Don't worry about me. Do not worry. What did I say? Flag. What the fuck?
One shot.
Another one blue stream. I'm pushing yellow. One guy yellow. Only one guy yellow.
He's
back yellow.
Yellow streams. I might be.
Looking yellow stream. He's shelling.
Yellow stream is coming.
P1 weak. Main kill. Reshot in. I'm looking John. One shot.
Brad, they're gonna get you.
What's up, P?
Brad, I'm over you.
Top P on me.
Where's he?
No.
Blue shoot. Okay.
Yo, kill the P guy. We're fighting P. I'm going top P right now.
I'm one hit, Brad.
I'm top P. Yo, could we look Peter?
Bottom mid. Where's
Inside.
I keep playing.
Yo, he's going call one, John. They're getting out. They're getting out.
They're getting out.
I was thinking about Obi. Obi in 15. Yo, John, kill Sky. I am twice, dead.
One thrust.
Yo, front blue won it. Dead. Obi in 10. I hear you. Top P. He's going yellow street. Top P weak, and there's a guy yellow fire. P1 right now, guys. Yo, he's still yellow P1. Yellow P1 going bottom mid. Inside bottom mid. No street. Yo, he's going front yellow. Almost out of us. Yo, almost out of us.
I couldn't get a beat on. He's hide here. OB from base.
Okay, that's fine. Yo, play the back.
Top P. Blue engine, top P. They're just trying to single me out.
Yeah, try to play for melee.
Go, close it. Peter, close it. Hold on. And P1. Nice, run.
Weak. Two shots.
P2 weak. Somewhere blue engine. Right now.
Nice!
FaZe starting to get loud. You hear the nice as we come back to the casters, and oh my God, the small talk between FaZe is something you gotta talk about, Dave. How much this moment means. You can feel the energy on this team right now.
Yeah, a lot of small talk and a lot of big talk as big moments and plays are happening there. However, I'm a bit concerned. They do put a lot of focus on this very certain moments, and you can see how that was probably getting very frustrating when they had their matches against someone like Pure as an example. You heard them all focusing on one part of the map saying, everyone focus P, get your eyes over here. We're trying to concentrate our firepower in this one central area.
Right now, FaZe in the lead by 6. Royal 2 looking to push front yellow. Kills being traded out across the map, and Royal 2 gonna focus his eyes to bottom middle. The heat wave is up. He'll put that in his back pocket, and he'll find TriPPPeY. TriPPPeY able to remove that heat wave, but TriPPPeY immediately gets traded out as well. Trades continue to happen back and forth, but Optic with a 1-3 swing right now will make it just a 4-kill game.
Yeah, Lucid knows where at least Renegade was, can assume that other players are spawning near that side. Buys for pink control. They get the pick, but damage is being done. Deadzone drops, but Optic still have a numbers advantage, so you're not going to see Lucid back down just yet. If he was down in numbers, he knew the push would be coming, and he has to make either a last stand or has to rat on out of there.
Grenades are the name of the game right now as they take down Lucid on the help of the end of SnakeBite's Bandit. Good grenades from FaZe to remove Lucid from that top pink position, but as multiple members from FaZe go down, this all of a sudden becomes a 2-kill game. I expect this game to slow down a little bit. SnakeBite sneakily trying to make his way into blue utility. There is going to be a player blue flag. It's Lucid. SnakeBite does have a teammate. Lucid is by himself, so Lucid knows he cannot push. As green wall chants start, FaZe tried to fight for their tournament lives. Royal 2 and Frosty find kills themselves. Here comes Lucid. A trade is a win in my books in that situation, and Optic go 3 down.
Yeah, 3 for 1. You'll take that trade any day, but a couple kills answered in return. Battling all out at pink 1. Gonna see what Captain SnakeBite has to say about that. Team stuck over at blue base and knows that they're gonna try to fight on over at pink, but how many players at FaZe are stuck over here?
The lead is up to 4. Frosty has 18 of his own. 18 and 12. Frosty probably having the best and the biggest game of this tournament so far for FaZe right now. Backs are against the wall. Optic under a lot of pressure, and Frosty anchoring this window position with the battle rifle, doing some great damage onto Lucid, even finds the kill. The pick across the map is not something you often see, but Frosty wants 20. Frosty gets 20. Frosty spots TriPPPeY top car as well. Pressure under World 2 in the closet as Frosty finds 21. Lucid, you want to be 22? Lucid, you are 22 as Frosty takes over this game 2, 48 now, 43.
Notice Frosty picking up all these kills. Frosty filling that role that felt like it was missing earlier against Pure, just having somebody that can punish people out in the open or trying to make these flanks. And there it is. That's going to be FaZe Clan closing out game number 2. 50-45. We got ourselves a series, Wes.
It's 22 kills from Frosty to get across the finish line in game 2, and FaZe answer back to tie it up. Optic Gaming were on their back feet a lot of that game. The small talk from FaZe was something that really, truly made a difference. Their damage was getting capitalized on, and it was the Iceman himself that stepped up for FaZe. We saw superstar performances on Optic Gaming in game 1. We called out how well Formal and Lucid were looking at times. Frosty, a superstar known to be true. He's had a quiet tournament up until this point, but that could have been the spark that Frosty needed to really find his footing in this series. And now as you're on Optic Gaming, what can you do looking for the rest of this series to slow a player like Frosty down?
Well, I mean, at some point you try to isolate and focus on players if somebody's having a hot game. You don't really get that luxury when you're playing against squads like this. You can't just say, we just need to focus on Frosty or you need to focus on Renegade and we can get that win. You saw it almost did feel like they were emphasizing Renegade in game number 1, and at some points it felt like they were feeding kills. It felt like they were too focused on charging in and trying to shut him down.
Yeah, sometimes.
And all of a sudden, you see someone like Frosty going off. So it's really, you can't just focus on a singular player.
Yeah, I think the teamwork is something that's going to have to really be used to take him down, because individually, when players like Lucid, like Frosty, like Formal, like anybody on that stage right now can take over games when they find their flow. And the last thing you want to do is start to give them one-on-one, start to give them those windows of opportunity to find even more of a reason to dominate. I mean, how quick was it that Frosty found 20, 21, and 22? It was all within like 7 seconds, I felt.
And he just listened to call-outs. He was just
reacting
in there, reacting to where members of Optic were, heard the call-outs over util, goes clean those up, and that's the flow state you want to see someone like Frosty in, because he's just listening, reacting, and finishing things off. He doesn't have to try to quarterback and coordinate. He doesn't have to say, guys, let's all push over here. Instead, he's letting his teammates just create those opportunities and capitalize it.
And what a big win for FaZe to get back into this series. As we take a look at the highlights, Frosty's going to be a lot of them, but FaZe Clan's teamwork, the angles that they had, the damage that they're all capitalizing on was something that really started to transition. This backsmack onto the overshield player, just baiting your teammate in that situation is perfect. Frosty chowing Lucid, someone that you traditionally don't chow, but I guess when you hit that flow state, you can do whatever you want. And Frosty could do no wrong in game 2.
Just doing it all, getting themselves in that tied series, and here we got that swing game coming up into game 3 though.
Interference Strongholds, the game that we pointed out in the pre-series show, and that is going to be the one that gives one of these teams the 2-to-1 advantage. Recharge off all live fire Slayer. You gotta wait. We got this probably the fastest map and mode combination coming up here on Interference Strongholds, Dave. And I'm gonna ask you straight up, who are you favoring based off the first 2 games of this series to take this game 3? Because I think both of these 2 teams, when they are in control, they know how to dominate, and I feel like that is the recipe for success. When you find control and interference very quickly, is the game over in your favor.
Yeah, I mean, when we watched that King of the Hill live fire, both teams had controls at different times, and both teams ran away with it. Interference, you're not going to see control change that many times. This is going to be a much quicker game, and out of all the 5 that we may see throughout the series, it's probably going to have the most skewed score. Everything else has been so close so far. 4-3, 15-45. This one has the potential for a team to win by 100, 150 points.
I don't think my heart can take a very close Interference Strongholds game, because not often does it happen, but it will be pure chaos if it does. Right now, Optic start off on the right foot. They find the first kill, but Royal 2 immediately answers. He's got the heat wave and the thrust. Somehow the route has paid off for Royal 2. He does lose a few teammates, but he is capable of creating that gap for his own team right now as he finds his 2nd kill of the game.
And just look at this, putting the squeeze onto the bunker, forcing players to get up close and personal as he has the heat wave up in there. Almost gets the stick on the overshield player, but Deadzone and Optic successfully break out of the FaZe Clan setup.
Yeah, Royal 2 does what he can, but Optic are able to get that overshield. FaZe do jump out to an early lead, but here comes the Optic overshield push. They're able to find a couple of kills, clear out back Carbine, Deadzone, able to secure this side of the map. Although FaZe were able to spawn bunker, they transfer over A, and B is the name of the game on Interference Strongholds. If you hold B, that is traditionally a recipe for success, because it is so easy to flush enemy players out of that stronghold. Let's see if Deadzone can start to approach this. Unfortunately, he did not expect a player to spawn there as he tries to approach it. That player knocked in no shield. The teamwork from Optic will clear that out. They will remove the capture from FaZe Clan right now. A reset, a trip cap now for Optic Gaming.
We got Trip Cap in the hands of Optic, but they don't have the numbers to fully press this. That's why you're going to see TriPPPeY back down a little bit and try to hold this double cap. Last thing you want to do is get a Trip Cap, overcommit, and then just flip the map completely on its head. So I like that play by TriPPPeY just to back down, gets the challenge on the Renegade, and just trades it out.
A dangerous position right now for FaZe. B and C in the favor of Optic, but 3 go down, and Optic already got beat in A. Lucid is going to be able to help Formal transfer this over, and FaZe Clan on the risk of going back into another trip cap at the wrong time. Overshield is up, the 2nd one of the game. Optic are going to be able to secure that in the hands of Formal, and this trip cap needs to start to work against FaZe as they go down in the lead. And not only that, but this could be where Optic completely dominate this game.
Yeah, this is where it gets scary because they have them on staggered spawns. They know they're going to be spawned over at Bunker or Carbine, and just look at this pressure. Formal charging in with the overshield. Gets a kill on Renegade, gets damage on the other player, and the trip cap is continuing. Just like that, Optic, they were down by 20 or so points before. They're now up by about 60 points, and they're barely getting touches onto the B stronghold.
Yeah, FaZe need to focus on getting slays, but it's Optic that have the numbers advantage again. They're able to flush those players out of B, and B stays in their favor as well. This trip cap now has got them to 130 unanswered points and continuing to climb. B still not reset, but they're not worried about it because they know FaZe will not spawn over there. They finally get the reset. A is going to be transferred over momentarily, but Lucid is behind enemy lines again.
Such a good bait there, but gets sniffed out. They know Lucid is down at Engine 1. Now do they decide to hunt him down and chase down at Engine 1, or do they decide to go for the high ground? Looks like they decide to go down low, and Lucid has loop-de-looed on over back towards the top.
All 4 down for FaZe momentarily as they spawn back up. The respawners are starting to split spawn. Optic Gaming continuing to swarm, and this is where the map gets ugly, ladies and gentlemen. Optic now up over 140 points and climbing. FaZe cannot get off their spawn. Frosty had 22 kills in the last game. He has none to his name right now, and this game could end very quickly.
This is just how quickly this one can spiral out of control. The map is so small, so congested that players can rotate back and forth, keep putting spawn pressure on. And we have yet to really see FaZe Clan get at a all 4 up and stay alive for a moment in time. This is probably the longest we've seen them all 4 alive in the last 90, 120 seconds.
They're going to have their first overshield of the game. Renegade somehow manages to punch that into his chest before getting taken down. They should be able to gain some control. Can FaZe replicate the same level of dominance is the big question. 2 go down for Optic. Renegade is able to stay alive. A trip cap now for FaZe. And how long can they keep this going? They're going to need a perfect game from here on out. 3 down for Optic, and everyone's starting to find kills for FaZe.
Yep, it's now FaZe's turn for the full setup. Like we said, there's not going to be too much back and forth on this control. This may be FaZe needing to close this out from the setup, or Optic could close this one out as soon as they can stop the bleeding. And FaZe doing a fantastic job so far. All 4 down.
Oh my God.
There's the spawn. They're looking for the bunker spawn. Do they see it just yet? They do not see the location just yet. Now Renegade knows that bunker and waiting for his teammates to come on through.
I have the scariest feeling this game is going to get crazy in a minute. 145 and climbing towards that 212 mark to potentially take the lead. World 2's the first one to drop. A Deadzone as well goes down. Renegade's under a lot of pressure. Lucid trying to jump top tower to take him down and not able to make the jump. The trip cap is finished. It's just a BNC control right now. Optic have done a great job to get out of this situation. Still in the lead right now. 212 to 167, but Renegade,
oh my God,
the leads for him. Lucid goes down, and that trip cap can be right back in their favor if Optic aren't careful. Deadzone trying to push top middle right now. They know FaZe are going to be spawning outside. This is where the game will slow down, potentially, but Deadzone looks to be aggressive.
At least they got the bleeding to stop. No longer a trip cap. Now they just need to take their time to get this entry kill. This next kill is crucial. SnakeBite falls. Formal follows shortly after. What are Optic and FaZe going to do in this neutral scenario? During a traded kill scenario, it actually benefits the team that has the multiple strongholds. So FaZe are actually fine with trading in a spot like this. It's Optic who desperately need to get a kill without having the death.
The map is about to flip and Overshield is up. Lucid and Deadzone with some big kills right now. The Overshield, it tries to get picked up by Formal. It falls off the map. Deadzone tries to catch it but can't quite get to it. A couple more kills go in FaZe's favor. The last 2 players for Optic jump into B. Can they transfer it over? They're able to stop the bleeding, but in the meantime, C being transferred. Bunker spawns for Optic. 2 alive. They are going to be able to get A, but is FaZe able to get feet in B and continue to score? The game all of a sudden is in FaZe's favor.
Optic somehow trying to get back in this, but every single time they rotate on over, FaZe do the correct play. They rotate on over towards the opposite Optic hill. They're not just meeting them heads on and giving them the fight that they want. The smart thing you do when you're ahead like this is you rotate away from the mass number of players and take the free stronghold.
A is going to be started to get transferred. Optic need to try to defend it. A couple of kills for TriPPPeY is massive. SnakeBite, the last player alive. Feet in B for Optic. 30 points is all they need. SnakeBite gets taken down. TriPPPeY's now on a killing spree, and that could do it. That could give Optic the strength they need to finish this game in their favor.
That was such a tough heads-up play by TriPPPeY. He knew there was a player in the hill. He could have challenged one-on-one. Instead, he just stays patient. He hides at top tower and takes the free kills that person's trying to flank through. Optic have a trip cap. They're trying to close out these last 8 points. FaZe need to not only stop A, they need to grab another stronghold.
They got feet in B, and SnakeBite, he needs to stay alive. TriPPPeY trying to challenge, TriPPPeY gets taken down, SnakeBite gets taken down. Formal with a double will end the game for Optic Gaming, and it couldn't have been any closer. But Optic Gaming will take the lead in the series once again, 2-1.
Even in a game that has the biggest of snowballs, where teams are going on 150-point runs, both these teams have their chance at trip caps and at full control, and they give us an incredible match.
An incredible match. Probably the best game of interference strongholds we have seen in competitive play since its release, and it's Optic Gaming that They strut over the finish line with that double from Formal, but I mean, FaZe Clan and their comeback once again, a couple of steps too short. Games 1 and 3, a very similar story where Optic get off to a massive lead. FaZe do everything to retake a lead that you think is insurmountable, and then all of a sudden, Optic's resilience, they're a little bit more icy in this series, Dave. Traditionally, when you're two great teams going at it, it's usually the close games that decide the series. You'll have your blowouts either way, but Optic right now have showed you 2 out of these 3 games. They've got a little bit more gas in the tank, a little bit more ice here on Championship Saturday.
Yeah, and I remember talking about that with Lunchbox before, after a tournament. He was like, all the games are so close. Like, at some points, you can't really just evaluate the very end of the game. There's just so many things going on. But it's just icing up. You know, at some point you win that 50-48 game, that turns into a 3-1 series versus losing that series 2-3 after losing another close Slayer or whatever it is. And so it's all about those close games, and Optic showing that they're able to win in 2 close games there in 1 and 3.
I mean, look, it's 2-12-44. That's about the same as a 3-0 lead in King of the Hill. You're thinking Optic is cruising. Then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, they go 4 down.
That double back was so sick right there by Renegade. Every single time you think you know where he's going, he just swaps his route.
I thought that was going to be the moment that FaZe took over.
That's the ring falling in the volcano there, Lord of the Rings, and Deadzone just like, no, that was the key back into the game. I needed that.
Dude, and he's stuck in the bottom.
Take his eyes off it.
And he's stuck in the bottom of sewers. Like, his position couldn't be any worse in that situation. And you think FaZe is going to use that as an opportunity to maybe steal this 3rd game? Well, somehow, some way, it's honestly on the back of a phenomenal play from TriPPPeY over towards the tower. A killing spree from TriPPPeY gives Optic the opportunity. Big game Trip steps up. I don't care what the stats were. That play there won Optic Gaming Game 3, and it's plays like that that decide a series between 2 juggernauts like this. As we take a look at the map layout, Game 4 is Oddball Recharge, and something that I think FaZe are looking forward to seeing. Oddball, we talked about how strong Optic was at Oddball throughout all of London, but FaZe was perfect on Oddball at London. And now to look at the Oddball stats, Dave. Optic, I mean, it's no surprise. They're the best to do it.
Yeah, they are so great at it. And on top of that, they're able to do it without the massive outslaying. That's one thing. You look at their overall KD, it's 1.03, and they have a higher win percentage than FaZe, who has a higher KD and a lower win percentage. So that to me just says that Optic know when to play ball. They have the better rotations, they have the better trades, and the better objective efficiency. If Optic are able to match some sort of firepower against FaZe and play their game the way they normally do, they should be expected to win this game number 4 here.
We've seen both these 2 teams this weekend trip up on oddballs. Pure beat FaZe in oddball on live fire. We saw Optic lose Streets oddball to Shopify Rebellion just a series ago in the winner's bracket. But now oddball will decide, does this series go the distance? Does FaZe have a chance at a championship Sunday, or are Optic shutting the door on FaZe Clan at their own tournament?
Just like that, TriPPPeY getting the opening kill against SnakeBite. Looks like Renegade has an answer as well. And nobody's going to be grabbing this ball immediately or early. They're going for position and control, and it looks like to be going in favor of FaZe as they have a few more slays.
Deadzone gets taken down. Camo is still up. The longest Camo grab maybe in, I would say, the history of the start of Recharge right now. And these two teams have probably proved me wrong with how slow they like to play, how methodical they like to play. I believe that Camo does get burned, but the most important thing is that Optic had the ball in hand. The second most important thing, Renegade has a shock rifle. It gets taken out, and that is a big kill for Optic to remove that power weapon from Renegade.
SnakeBite trying to stay alive, knows that the pressure's going to be coming from the stairs. But all this time, while kills are being traded out, and while players are going for that shock rifle, Optic, TriPPPeY, is grabbing points on that ball. He has 23, and I don't know if anyone from FaZe is close enough to even stop him. The thing that's nice about Optic's defense is they have this wide perimeter, so you have to fight Lucid from so far away, and if you try to skip past him, he has an angle to shoot you in the back.
It is a perfect setup for Optic. Shock in the hands of Lucid, and he's starting to become a menace. This Shroud plays to his favor as he catches a player off guard there. They're able to get a couple of kills and continue ball control in pipes. A big second kill from Lucid. That ball actually gets played towards the batteries, it appears, but Optic get it right back in their hands and continue to build what is now a 40-point lead.
Yeah, slays are 12-8 in favor of Optic. Oddball, 42-0 in favor of Optic. Just every single time they get the right slay, they're grabbing time and even prematurely doing the play ball. We didn't see a single death there from players in pipes yet before Optic played ball that. There's a lot of times players will wait until the situation's dire, until they have zero chance of holding that ball. Instead, Optic preemptively playing that, trying to get some kills on the map and keep some control to stop a FaZe full setup.
A momentary 3 down for Optic, but Formal was the last player alive, trying to deny Camo. He's able to take down Renegade, who got that Camo, and has even bought time for respawners to assist him in acquiring that Camo. Now, Formal with Camo, Optic with ball in hand, continue to build a lead.
Tournament favorites just getting toyed with here, as this ball every single time is one step ahead of these FaZe rotations. 3 down, SnakeBite the only one left. This is starting to feel dire for FaZe. They need to step up here. They want to get some life into this round 1. They don't want to go with this sort of momentum into round 2, down 2-1 in the series.
The reason we praise Optic on oddball is their situational awareness and their rotations. They have been perfect so far. 78-1 is the score. Optic with this setup is going to be such a difficult thing to break, and FaZe Clan losing the first 2 kills will almost guarantee Optic take round 1.
And they just play it so perfectly. As they get kills on either lane or either side, they rotate the ball towards that side. If they see teams overloading and bringing 3 or 4 towards a different side, they rotate away from it. Any single time, whether they see an overcommit or whether they get some kills on a side, they rotate the ball. They're always bringing the ball in the most advantageous position, and that's why you saw such a dominating round number 1, 100-1.
100-1. Everything has been pretty close so far, but not that first round. Optic with the first real dominant performance. How will FaZe Clan respond? Truly with their backs against the wall now here in Atlanta. Elimination bracket down 2-1, down a full round, and you just got smacked in the face in the first round. TriPPPeY has found the first Camo of this round 2, and he's got a lot of information to share to his teammates.
He's like, I gotta go back and tell the boys that there's a lot of them over in that mangler pit, and I need to get out of here. Scout has been found and eliminated.
Tries to get out, but can't get out. A good job by FaZe to negate that Camo. Is that the start to something great? Unfortunately, not at this moment. World 2 is the last player alive, and he's spotted out. He's being pinged by members of Optic. Formal has found himself a shock rifle. He spots SnakeBite as well as World 2 goes down, so it's a staggered respawn situation for FaZe, and it's early ball time for Optic once again.
Formal just trying to hold on this pipes. Time on their side, like we said. They do such a good job of anytime they're getting the kill trades, they're holding that ball and rotating it. Right here, ball already making that rotation towards elevator. Royal 2 slipping in the center there and getting those stops. That was such a great stop to the ball rotation, not letting it towards elevator. Now Renegade and crew don't have a play ball situation. They have a setup, and they get to, for the first time, say, all right, where are they coming from? Where are we getting our kills?
A much stronger start, I would say, for FaZe Clan, absolutely. Last round was dominant, but here is the Demon himself. He finds the opening pick. Do they know a player snuck across Turbine's the big question. Renegade tries to push into White, and he gets surrounded by Optic members. He gets taken down. All of a sudden, the FaZe Clan setup even after Renegade finds the first pick, collapses. Royal 2 able to minimize the damage with a kill that will make this setup for Optic worse. But it's only 13 points for FaZe Clan. Optic, what do you have in store for a rotation potential? Deadzone finds a big kill on the SnakeBite that will deny any real FaZe Clan push here as it slows down. 2 members of FaZe Clan go down. That ball gets neutralized, but a good job by Optic, the last 2 players alive, finding kills in order to stall FaZe from another potential setup.
Yeah, just great reactions all around. These players get behind enemy lines. They're in very scary positions, but they wait for that call, they find where their weak player is, and then they just put that pressure and damage on. And look at that, just tattling on players, not shooting right away because he wants his teammates to do a little bit more work, a little bit more damage before he enters the fight. I almost wonder if that's a bit too patient.
Yeah, I would have wanted him to shoot him out. You didn't shoot that guy for me? Hello, help me. But Lucid,
you just watch that go down like that?
Yeah, Lucid knows best. It's worked out for Optic as he gets the ball back into his hands. Camo has run out, but numbers in Optic's favor once again. And look, they know FaZe is in pipes. Lucid wants to bring the fight to them. He wants to bring the ball to them, for God's sake. But as he gets shot, he decides to back up. 3 go down for Optic, and Lucid trying to rotate this maybe into blue to where he can play it. But I think he knows his routes are getting cut off.
Yeah, getting cut off and trying to at least get a trade here. But these players and their G-slides make it so difficult. FaZe, ball in hand, slight advantage. Let's see how they do in this neutral scenario. We know FaZe. We know that they can do a great setup when they have a numbers advantage. We know when they have 2 or 3 down and all 4 alive, they're gonna get ball time. But how do they do when it's a 3-on-3, when it's 3-on-2? Well, the answer's right there for you. They're gonna take out 3 members of Optic and keep scrapping up time.
Yeah, they're finally gonna be able to call themselves in the lead here in game 4, at least in this round. They still are down a round, but they will have the lead momentarily in this second round. Optic are trying to push from white into the elevator, but the ball is no longer here. Frosty just trying to buy as much time as he can, deals some great damage, finds himself a kill as well. And as 3 go down for Optic, once again, it's just Lucid, and SnakeBite will make his way to the ball to extend this round 2 lead for FaZe once again.
All 4 down, and yes, FaZe still have ball, but you gotta wonder, were they getting as much time during that as they could? It feels like they indexed and slayed a little bit higher than you see someone like Optic getting. Optic, I think, would have gotten another 10 seconds or so during that last engagement. Let's see if that comes into play here at the end of this round.
Another interesting situation where FaZe don't really set up for this camo properly. It's actually Optic that take the space they need to get Formal this camouflage. Camo has been dominant from Optic so far in this game, and Formal showing how dominant that Camo can be. Gets shots onto Frosty as he finds a kill, but Renegade comes off spawn. Formal does not expect him to be top red. And because of it, that Camo does get negated. I'd love to see FaZe Clan play more for those camouflages if possible, but right now, a 20-point lead separates Optic and FaZe here in round 2. They are doing a much better job of negating that Camo's impact.
Oddball plays quite a bit different when Optic aren't in control and just rotating that to wherever they'd like. This round has been significantly different. 1, the time on the clock has dwindled down much further. 2, the ball's been in different locations, not quite as much rotating all the way through pipes to elevator to control. Instead, it's been a bit more stagnant when it's been in the hands of FaZe.
It's Renegade versus TriPPPeY and Lucid, and Renegade somehow finding a way to come out on top. Here comes Frosty and the boys from FaZe. As Renegade deals so much damage right there, the rest of FaZe were able to collapse and they were able to take down all of Optic. The last player alive is Formal in this long haul, but this ball is being neutralized. Formal is trying to buy time, but here comes FaZe behind Formal. As Formal gets taken down, he is going to take Royal 2 with him, but the ball time for FaZe not continuing to add up until now. SnakeBite has a moment of silence as he continues to build this lead.
Yeah, and he's kind of pinched between a couple players. He needs to find out what side's going to win the fight. It's going to be Renegade winning it. I would love to see that ball rotate, and it looks like it's a little bit lackluster, a little bit sloppier than I'd like to see. You saw SnakeBite ideally passing that ball to Renegade and then continuing a rotation. Seems like the ball eventually goes in Renegade's hands, but here comes a 3-man push from Optic. They break through, get the first kill. 7 points away here for FaZe. Can they run away and rotate and get these last points? The answer's gonna be no. They're gonna get these 3 kills over towards elevator. And now SnakeBite and Frosty, the only 2 alive.
Big shots from Lucid. Camo was up. I'm very interested to see where that Camo went. It's in the hands of Formal once again. Optic had one last push. before this round 2 was taken from FaZe Clan, but they've successfully broken the setup, and now with Camo in the hands of Formal, he's disrupting the first opportunity to break what would be the last setup in round 2 for Optic Gaming. So much damage done by Formal. He's able to get a kill and an assist, but Renegade finds the ball. 4 points is all Renegade needs, but Lucid's there to at least force him to drop it for a second. Renegade's gonna tuck his tail into the blue corner, and with that, he's gonna take FaZe Clan to round 3 here in game 4.
Much needed round win there by FaZe, and that one felt completely different. FaZe dominating in slays during that round. FaZe in control of the ball. FaZe maybe not as scrappy as Optic, but FaZe scrapping up time and bringing the ball to where it needs to be.
Will we see a game 5 between these two here tonight? The answer will be answered by FaZe and FaZe alone here as they tie this game 4 up 1-1. A round 3 of Odd Ball is how we're gonna decide that. It's gonna be an early camo grab for TriPPPeY once again, and the Optic squad. The green wall have 3 down for FaZe. Shock Camo in the hands of TriPPPeY, and early ball time in the hands of, I believe, Lucid.
Oh, and a random duck at the last second saves SnakeBite's life as he's over at glass.
That reaction time is actually insane to know that TriPPPeY is walking around with the camo shock. These players are so good. The level of Halo being played right now is unbelievable. TriPPPeY can't finish the kill on a Renegade, does some damage to SnakeBite as well, but not how you wanted that camo shock rifle story to go.
Look at this adjustment you're also seeing from FaZe. Previously, Optic were able to rotate that ball without the same sort of resistance. Now you see a member of FaZe, whether it's Royal 2 or Renegade, cutting across the map and able to shoot that ball holder in the side before they make their full rotation to a safe location. You saw it before from Royal 2 getting over towards Needler, stopping that pipe to elevator rotation. You saw it there from Renegade, stopping that elevator to Hydro rotation.
They tried to cut it off, but eventually Optic get the ball to back blue. They get a 40-point lead before Formal plays it and lands some perfect shots on the Renegade, putting him back in the respawn screen. FaZe have got a lot of work to do if they want to see a game 5 here tonight, and Formal is on the hunt.
I like that. Lays down a couple shots. If it's going to be a one-on-one, Formal's going to hunt that down. Instead, he knows where half of FaZe Clan are. He spot out 2 at elevator with that information. Optic now can reposition or try to go for a ball grab.
Frosty jumps up from bottom middle and throws that ball Turbine. Not often do you see that, but it's because he has camo. He's gonna try and play his life. Frosty wants kills, and when Frosty wants kills, traditionally Frosty gets kills. He finds Deadzone, SnakeBite finds TriPPPeY. It's a 2-on-2 situation, and somehow Optic, eagle-eyeing Frosty top cat right here, is not enough to get the job done. He pivots back to Formal, able to take him down, but Lucid is being such a nuisance with the softball right now. If he can get this to bottom middle, he can deny FaZe's numbers advantage any ball time here, and he is able to get it to that bridge.
Yeah, Frosty get the kills, but they're not getting the time because of it. These are the times that FaZe cannot just pad the stats. There was a great ball rotation by Optic to try to throw that away from Needler, from elevator side, because they knew FaZe had full control of glass and elevator, and now forcing FaZe into some obscure positions. They now need to push out those power positions and go to the opposite side of the map.
Yeah, what should have been a FaZe setup actually gets broken. A player spawns elevator for Optic Gaming, gets the kill on the ball carrier, and throws it back bottom middle. FaZe have got to feel frustrated in this game, in this round 3. Lucid, TriPPPeY, Formal, all find kills. Renegade, the last player alive, is gonna find a kill on the Formal, but the ball is being rotated once again by Optic.
Now look at the difference in this. FaZe Clan, they got so many unanswered kills over the last 45 seconds. The second that Optic got these kills onto FaZe, they've already put on another 12 points on the board. That's the difference in ball efficacy from Optic versus FaZe when it comes to those neutral scenarios and those ball rotations.
It's time to go big or go home for FaZe right now, and they are going to the death game. SnakeBite and Royal 2 gets sent. Frosty wins a big fight on the Formal. Frosty somehow takes down Lucid right after that. Deadzone now all of a sudden had a 2-man advantage, finds himself by himself. FaZe rotate that ball to elevator in the hands of Renegade, and Deadzone gets denied at the door to Turbine.
We're going to have to see how Deadzone decides to play this. Does he go for a shock rifle? Does he decide to push into Needler? Looks like he's not going through pipes just yet, and unfortunately TriPPPeY kind of goes in, gives an entry, death out. Somehow Deadzone hits that headshot onto Frosty to stay alive. getting a few more shots on towards Camo side.
There's a scrap going down bottom middle, and Lucid comes out victorious. Lucid puts his eyes on the roll too, but the help from TriPPPeY is too much for FaZe to deal with. 3 go down for FaZe. That ball is in white. Frosty wants to try to maybe potentially play it, but 3 members of Optic stand between Frosty and that ball. They're collapsing on him, and they will start a staggered respawn for FaZe. A 30-point lead now for Optic, and a setup in blue. Camo in the hands of Lucid. This is do or die.
I was going to say, out of all the spots on the map to have the ball, this is probably the worst spot for Optic to have the ball if you're a FaZe fan. Reason being is FaZe, they need to get all these kills and do everything they can just to get the stop on the ball. And on top of that, Optic are just going to play ball it once they get those kills right there. Deadzone and Lucid fall. Ball's played, you already have Formal in position all the way in pipes. So all that work is not rewarded with any return ball time for FaZe.
Elevator response for Deadzone. It is his responsibility to deny this ball from being picked up as he waits for his teammates to respawn. Deadzone's going to slow play it. FaZe, do not go for the ball just yet. Under 2 minutes on the clock might not sound important now, but as neutralized ball time continues to tick down, that could all of a sudden become a factor in Optic's favor as well. 77-34, so it's a 40-point lead. SnakeBite takes a risk down by the batteries, can't hit the shot, but relocates back to the bat ledge. He's going to grapple the ball to himself as Formal goes down. 2 players at the pipe door, and they both get shot. They both get taken to no shield. Frosty finds a kill, but has to try and play his life. Lucid's still alive in that pipes. Is the last player alive for Optic. He's able to take down Frosty, but he is in a very difficult situation to try and weigh. That ball somehow makes its way to top middle, and this game's chaos is what's deciding these micro decisions from everyone starting to impact as the clock continues to tick, Dave.
Both these teams too scared to be that first one to make that drastic mistake. They don't want to overstep, leave their teammates out to dry. Instead, they want to be able to trade out these kills back and forth, but it looks like FaZe coming out ahead in that first exchange. TriPPPeY and Lucid doing everything they can to try to get some stops. And it's going to be TriPPPeY, the one who said he didn't step up in London, gets a triple kill, shuts down FaZe as they're about to get a ball set up.
Revenge is a meal best served cold, and TriPPPeY trying to eliminate FaZe in their own tournament here on Saturday as he picks up the biggest 3 kills of the series yet. 91 and climbing. Optic have control. Deadzone with the ball top glass full shield, and it's one push for FaZe to try and deny an Optic Gaming series win.
Deadzone was trying to scrap up those last few seconds and grab it while those shots were coming in. Now, Formal in an odd position. Thought he knew that someone was 1 shot over towards top glass. What can Lucid do here in this situation? They're not sure where to push. Lucid finds 2 people over towards top glass. SnakeBite and teammate Renegade able to get that kill, but the damage has been done. They're trying for a desperate rotation over towards pipes, but FaZe, time is no longer on their side. They have to get these kills. They have to hold the ball. If Optic just break the step, it's not about scrapping the last 5 seconds. It's about trying to hold the ball.
TriPPPeY's behind them. TriPPPeY gets the kill. They don't play the ball. And with 17 seconds, 3 points to go. TriPPPeY sends SnakeBite home with a kill with the eyeball. And TriPPPeY redeems himself from his finals performance. And Optic Gaming eliminate FaZe Clan from their own hosted tournament here in Atlanta. We will see the championship whites tomorrow, and Optic will be proud to represent the green wall.
Optic fans going crazy, but you see those Optic players themselves not celebrating. They know that they just barely beat out FaZe there. Their tournament life continues to Sunday, but I can't recall the last tournament that we've seen without FaZe entering Sunday. It has to have been years and years.
I don't remember the last time those guys placed outside of the top 4, and this is going to haunt them for a little bit. A lot left on the table, and FaZe did not show up with their A game. But these players for Optic, after having to lose the series they lost in winner's bracket and immediately go up against FaZe Clan, who was on a bit of a streak here in the elimination bracket. Optic rebounded so quickly, and they won the close games in this series, and I think that that was truly the difference between FaZe and Optic here today.
It was. I mean, anytime you look back at those close games, you start to think of, what if FaZe got that first hill, or what if FaZe got that second hill? All of a sudden, that series flips up completely. They're up 2-1 in the series, and they're about to close it out closer, and it just changes the momentum, and it's that massive butterfly effect. But that's exactly how all of Halo goes. You can talk about one of those major moments, whether it's a cap of a hill or a flag cap. You can also talk about a moment where a player lives when they should have died, or where they get away and pull an incredible play. So it's just all those butterfly effects that happen with Halo. It's one of the reasons why this game is so beautiful.
Tell me what it's like in the hands of TriPPPeY, where you know you went up against a big rival of yours, you had a few of them in your time, and you didn't play your best at one tournament. And you might not have had Twitter back in your day, Dave. I know you're old as hell.
I was going to MLG forums, creating fake tags, talking smack. No.
That was on the MLG forums. That's on me. I know we've all been there. But for TriPPPeY to have the moments at the end of those games, what does that mean for his confidence going into Sunday?
It's exactly what he needs. He needs to say, hey, my teammates have been stepping up, and I get to return that favor. And he's back to where he belongs. He's been such an integral part of this team for so long, and he's back, and I can't wait to see how he plays on Sunday.
Yeah.
But at this moment, we do have an interview with Guy on the floor. Take it away, my buddy.